Revenge is self-defeating. It will eat away at you until there is nothing left.
Alex Poatan Pereira is now the new UFC middleweight champion of the world after knocking out Israel Adesanya in the 5th round of their championship bout. A lot of people went into that fight discrediting Pereira's chances, saying that although he has 2 victories over the champion in Adesanya in another sport in kickboxing, MMA isn't the same and Stylebender was going to be able to cruise his way to an easy decision or potentially finish the challenger early in the fight. And it looked like most of those people were on their way to being correct in their early fight predictions. Adesanya was able to keep the distance in the range, but more importantly used his wrestling and clinch game to stifle the outside striking work of Pereira throughout the entirety of the fight. A lot of over-under clinch positions, takedowns, ability to take the back and use the wrist control, aka the Dagestani handcuff, to tie up Pereira and show his, I wouldn't say grappling incompetence, but inexperience in that realm of the game of mixed martial arts, which is something that a lot of people believed was going to be a problem if Adesanya went to that well during this fight. Whenever Pereira tried to close the distance, Adesanya would quickly tie him up and use frames, single collar clinches, and over-under clinch positions to stifle, like I said, the outside striking game and the power that Pereira possesses in those strikes that he throws. But we saw that every time Pereira would back up Adesanya to the cage, the normal evasive movements, head movement, and frames he was able to use in his early fights weren't really there and weren't something that he could pull out of his bag of tricks going up against the much taller, longer, and rangier fighter in Poatan Pereira. The lead hand frame, the head movement, and all of that seemed to be an issue, which is why I believe Adesanya used those tie-ups and clinch positions in order to keep the fight in his control. Adesanya was even able to rock Pereira at the end of the 1st round with a beautiful overhand right over the lead left-hand frame of the longer, taller, rangier Pereira, and then following up with a left hook which put Pereira in a chair a little bit and almost had him out on his feet if the round had not ended at that point. But it doesn't matter if there was 10, 15, 20, or 30 more seconds in that round. At the end of the day, the round was over and it was time to move to round 2. In round 2, Pereira had some more success keeping the fight at his range and controlling where the fight took place, using, as we mentioned earlier, those inside and outside low calf kicks, followed up with the long rangy jab that he used. Even when Adesanya tied him up early in the fight, he had decent takedown defense and was able to push on the hips and open up the body for some good knees and beautiful bolo-style uppercuts to suck the wind out of the former champion, obviously after the fight, in Israel Adesanya, even punctuating the round with a takedown to seal it on the scorecards. Going into the 3rd, we were 1-1 in the championship bout. But as we said, in the 3rd and the 4th rounds, Adesanya was able to use that grappling much more effectively and tie up Pereira in the clinch, not allowing him to be at the range he wanted to be at in order to land the beautiful weapons that he has in the jab, the right straight to the body, the jab to the body, and the left hook behind it. He has a beautiful straight right hand as well, but we don't see him use it too much in his bag of tricks throughout his combat sports career, especially when it comes to mixed martial arts. But going into that 5th round, things began to change, and that is when the entire world was shook up by Poatan. Adesanya threw a lazy low kick and was knocked off balance and pushed back up against the cage. The one area you don't want to be against a striker the caliber of Pereira with the power that he possesses is backed up against the cage and having to rely on lateral movement, which can move you into his kill shots, such as the left hook. As Adesanya tried to regain his balance and his bearings, Pereira just unloaded with right hands, overhands, uppercuts, a jab to the body, which eventually allowed Pereira to load up that rear hip and shoot himself into a left hook right on the chin of Israel Adesanya. Almost the same exact setup he used to knock out Sean Strickland was the one he used to set up the finishing sequence against the former champion in Adesanya. The jab to the body, the rear hip load, followed up into a springing left hook, which cut off the exit of Adesanya up against the fence, was the beginning of the end. And then it was overhand rights, uppercuts, left hooks, straight rights, and a follow-up left hook, which eventually had referee Mark Goddard jump in and call the fight off. a 5th round TKO victory in a fight where Pereira was most likely down 3 rounds to 1. But now he is the new king atop the middleweight division and the man who has a clean sweep of victories in 2 different sports against the last Stylebender. 2 victories in kickboxing, 1 a questionable decision and 1 a knockout via left hook off a stance switch. And in MMA now, a 5th round TKO victory, handing Adesanya not only his first professional loss in the middleweight division inside the UFC, but also his first knockout loss in his mixed martial arts career. Where does Pereira go from here? I mean, he could go up against other contenders in the middleweight division, such as the winner of the potential fight between Paulo Costa and Robert Whittaker. He could go up against a Marvin Vettori, and there's many different options for Pereira in his next fight. More than likely, it will be a rematch against Adesanya for the middleweight strap, judging the fact that Adesanya was probably going to win a decision pretty comfortably if the 5th round did expire when it comes to the time on the clock. But my favorite fight, and the one that I'm looking forward to and I think could be the best possible path for Pereira, which most likely won't happen right now, would be a light heavyweight title fight against Yuri Prochazka if he's to get past Glover Teixeira at UFC 282. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what's next for Poatan and Alex Pereira. What really matters is the fact that not only did he defeat Israel Adesanya when his back was against the wall in the 5th and final round of their championship bout. Not only did he hand Adesanya his first professional knockout loss in his mixed martial arts career, but he also has a clean sweep in 3 victories in 2 separate sports over the last Stylebender, as we mentioned earlier. And Pereira is definitely a ghost of combat's past for Israel Adesanya. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit an elbow on the like button, and land a spinning wheel kick on the subscribe button. Thank you, and have a blessed day.